Hello and welcome to another episode of the Embodied Union podcast. I'm Lindsay.
I'm Charlie.
And today we're going to be talking about what gets in the way of sex and how to actually do something about it.
And today is also Lindsay's birthday. I was
good.
like, it's the first thing to acknowledge. Happy birthday, my love.
Thanks, sweetheart. 21 feels so good.
And I think this is a really great conversation because we just had it
Yeah.
ourselves and we decided that we might actually model the conversation that we've had so you can kind of see how it's done. But yes, to give context, often when couples feel like there's a lack in the bedroom or a lack in sex and a lack in intimacy, they can really hyper-focus on that part of it. And what we've come to realize is often there needs to be this zooming out to consider like what's actually getting in the way of the sex and the intimacy, rather than the problem just being we're not having sex.
Yeah, and I really see this as men kind of go to the direct thing. It's like we're not having sex, so the answer is
More sex.
more sex. And really it's not a straight line. You know, the journey to sex isn't a straight line. It's actually much more like the labyrinth, you know, and I really see this happening in our relationship. And if the frequency isn't there, it's like, oh, what's going on? You know, what's wrong? What am I doing wrong? Or how do I fix this? And I am really interested in this fertile ground of safety, trust, and respect. So if we look through the lens of what is in the way of us having sex, if it's not actually the sex itself, and we really are the embodiment of this work that we preach and teach, then we looked at it through this lens of like, where is there a lack of safety? Where is there a lack of trust? Or where is there a lack of respect in our relationship that's getting in the way of our sex? So,
And it was so insightful because last night we had the conversation around noticing intimacies dropped off. And my default was to go to, well, firstly, it's probably because I'm pregnant. Secondly, it's because I want more kink. Trying to find the flaws in the sex. And it wasn't until today where we revisited it through Lindsay's lens that we were like, oh my goodness, there's so many things that we can now see that really explain why intimacy has just taken a little bit of a pause or hasn't been at the front of the list of priorities. And yes, I am pregnant, and yes, there's the things, but it's just like, here are the gaps.
yeah. So I think we should acknowledge, we start with the safety piece, and we're looking
Can I do a disclaimer?
Yeah.
The disclaimer is that the conversation that we're about to model, when we had it, and as we do it now, we are two resource people.
Yeah.
Like we had this conversation from a place of being really open to it. Lindsay checked in with me. He's just like, can you actually hold this right now? And I knew that I could because it's his birthday. We're really in our hearts. But I could see right away where this could have been a really triggering conversation if we hadn't been resourced.
Yeah.
And I can see how couples would then go try and model what we're about to model, and it could so easily fall down.
Yeah.
So because we're about to offer reflections to each other about the other, you have to make sure that you can hold it and your partner can hold it. Do this when you feel resourced.
Especially around sex being so sensitive a topic.
Yeah.
That, Charlotte prefacing this, it's like I have to even do another double disclaimer of sex is one of those things that can be highly triggering about who we are as an identity, who we are as a person.
Our worthiness, am I enough? Are you
all of
attracted to me? It can bring up so many bits.
Yeah, so we're definitely resourced. We definitely have taken a good look at it. It'd be something that you might want to do on your own first before you bring it to your partner. And maybe you both do. You both go away, really look at it through this lens, and then come back together. And with the practices that we've already taught you with self-revealing, you get to do this really powerfully.
So the way that we started this, because we're looking at safety, trust, and respect, and where those things might be falling down in our relationship right now. And I think
that impacts our intimacy.
that could be possibly be impacting our intimacy. And so the first question, actually, I'll have you ask.
We are looking at it through the lens of curiosity. Like, we really aren't in it like this is going to fix it, we're going to get to this and this is going to equal. There's still not the expectation. There's still this inquiry. We're still being curious. I'm not trying to prove anything here. I'm not trying to get somewhere out of Charlotte to get her to admit that something actually is going
There's
on.
no make wrong here. It's a really good point. There's lots of like compassion and curiosity.
Yeah.
So let's model it like we did it. And do you want to ask me first?
Yeah. So, my love, what at the moment is creating any lack of safety for our intimacy?
So right now, it's actually not anything that you are doing, but there are external factors that are having me actually feel a little bit on edge. I am actually feeling not so centered, not so grounded. I'm feeling a lack of safety based on things that are happening in our life this week. And so there actually is a lack of safety here for me in my body
And what I hear you say is, and I can also sense some sadness or some emotion in there of some sort. I just hear it in your voice a little bit, that there's some outside stuff going on and there is a lack of safety. And I'm really glad that you could name it in that way, because it's part of me that feels like I'm responsible or it's something about me. So.
Yeah, and it's really the safety piece actually is nothing to do with how you're showing up. There just is stuff happening that has me feel a bit unsettled. So it's really good to acknowledge that is having an impact.
Yeah.
My love, is there anything impacting you as far as safety right now in our relationship?
No.
Amazing.
I'm really clear of that.
Okay, that's good that you feel so clear.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to the trust piece. So, Charlotte, is there anything that's impacting the trust in our relationship that impacts the intimacy or our intimacy?
Yes. Little nervous fingers. Currently, I feel really protective of my pregnancy and birth and moving into that. And I just have a question around, are we on the same page as far as protecting this pregnancy and protecting the birth, and just like based on the external stresses that we have, which are true for both of us. Yeah, there's a question around just, can I trust you to kind of meet the expectation I have around the environment of pregnancy and birth? So there's a question.
Yeah.
There is a question.
Okay. So what I hear you say is you do trust me, but there is some questions in there that need answering, or it almost sounds like what I hear is there's an agreement that needs to be made around ensuring this trust piece can be kept.
Yeah, I
right?
think just making sure that we're on the same page and kind of having a plan in place so that I know that you've got my back, and that's going to help the safety piece. You know, like part of my safety I'll feel more safe knowing that I can trust that you're in service to the pregnancy and the birth in the way that I'm hoping for. So yeah, I think so. That would be really helpful.
Yeah. And I guess too, what I really hear in that is, although that has seemingly nothing to do with our intimacy, that it's somehow impacting or
Well, it's like
creating-
I wouldn't even have, until we have this conversation, like that is happening. I am sitting in like a little bit of, am I safe? Can I trust? But until we talked about it like this, I couldn't have put those dots together, you know? So, yeah.
And I really hear too, like, that it's not always obvious what's in the way. It's kind of like we talked about it in previous episodes around like outside stress impacting, you know, this fertile ground, this safety trust. So I guess this is really showing that outside stuff is happening and it does impact, you know? So, yeah.
I'll ask you,
Yep.
my love, is there anything impacting you as far as trust right now?
Yeah. The part for me that I know might be a little bit triggering right now is
But
that...
he knows I can hold it.
Yeah, you've agreed. Is that when I feel you wobble like this and I feel you in your uncertainty at stress and lack of trust, it feels more like that younger part is more present. And I notice for myself that creates less desire in my body and less... the easiest way I could describe it that I experience you is that there's more of like the younger little girl part, and that doesn't make me feel as attracted. So it creates a little bit of like an uncertainty there. Can't quite trust this part.
Yeah, so what I hear you say is when I'm wobbling and in my I'm not safe, I can't trust, you really feel my little girl activated and you can't quite trust if I can hold that part of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that has an impact on intimacy because if I'm operating from little girl, it's like you don't want to have sex with a little girl. So
There's definitely
there's
that.
an impact.
Yeah.
I so see how this last week with my stress and not safe and not trusting that little part of me is more present and less, my wiser woman has not been as online. So I really understand.
Yeah, and I think the part for me around that is why it's still lingering is I think in the past that younger part, while it is wobbling, feels my uncertainty, or it starts to feel like there's a lack of intimacy, and it kind of sometimes drives your desire for intimacy as a way to build safety and connection, kind of secures the connection more. And how I know it is that if we have sex or are intimate afterwards, I kind of feel like it was what was driving it. It's like not intimacy and desire is driving this connection. It's something else. It's almost like it's this younger part is using sex as a way to secure.
Yeah, and I just want to acknowledge that I so know that pattern of mine. It's been a really big pattern before even this relationship, to use intimacy and even sex to know that we're good. And yeah, there is like a bit of sadness knowing that that pattern is still something that can kind of come up for me. But I'm so glad that you are sensitive to it so that we're not having sex when I'm operating from that place, because as you said, afterwards you don't feel good about it, and I definitely don't feel good about it. Like I feel a lot of shame and just like shut down in my body, and kind of like I betrayed myself. So I'm so glad that we're both aware of that part of me that can come up and name it.
And there's a part of me too that kind of doesn't want to be a perpetrator, doesn't want to, sit in that position of knowing that and doing it anyway.
Oh.
Like I would feel like I would betray you as well as me. It's like, I don't want to do that, because it goes on to the next piece for me, which is around the respect, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, because I just want to name, it's like...
Doesn't have me admire you, which is respect.
And if you were to be leaning in when I know that I'm leading from a younger, I'm not safe place, I don't admire that in you and I lose the trust in you. So it's so good that we can name what's here and not operate on top of it.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Really love you for that. So it makes me trust you more,
Totally.
So it repairs that piece for me around like feeling like I can trust our intimacy is there for the for the reasons that we say we want it, you know?
Yeah.
So, my love, is there anything at the moment that's in the way of you respecting me that impacts our intimacy?
Yes. We, as you know, we have an agreement around scrolling and screen time and phones. And when I notice, there's just been a couple of times that you've broken that agreement, and like, I love and adore you, but there is a little bit of risk in that moment. It feels like respect gets lost in that moment. It's like an almost out of integrity with yourself because the agreement was a collaboration. So like, I do notice that. I wish it wasn't there, but when I see that, yes, I do feel that
Yeah.
little, it impacts respect.
I feel it too. I feel like you don't have to feel remorse for having a loss of respect for me. It's like I'm out of integrity. I'm out of congruency. You know, we've made an agreement and there's some part of me that's managing it and doing its best, but not doing it as well as I said. So I really get that there's an impact, you know, and I think for me, that's what makes me want to keep that promise, is that I really feel the distance and I feel the impact of where I fall short. Like I could so easily get shame defense and retaliate back and make the excuses, but you're right, I'm out of integrity with it. And I'm really
Just
sorry.
seeing it.
Yeah, I'm really sorry for the impact that is, because I know you don't want to have that be the standard, and I know with our incoming baby that we don't want to have phones around baby either. So it's mindfulness now, so mindfulness later is easy to do. And yeah, it felt really good to clear that up with you yesterday and make a new solid agreement that's more measured. And although you don't need that for you, I need that for me.
So get that.
So thanks for sharing, my love.
Thanks for holding that so well.
Yeah.
And is there anything for you that feels like the respect is impacted? Anything that I'm bringing is impacting respect?
Well, again, I think it's just that trust piece that also impacts the respect piece. Like I want to admire you, and yeah, if I feel like that little girl is more online, it's like I love her and I love that part of you, but again, it's not a part I want to be intimate with, you know? So it's just like if I feel in a parental role, as probably for you, if you feel like you're mothering me, you don't want to have sex with your kid. So it's just so name that. And yeah, that's what's there for me. So, and I have a lot of compassion right now for the actual stresses outside of our relationship. So I totally get how intimacy is not at the forefront right now. And it's got nothing to do with our intimacy.
Totally.
And it might have. It could have stuff to do with our intimacy as well. Like our intimacy might be a bit flat or a bit non-exploratory right now. It's because we're not in a space of deep safety and open and spaciousness to explore that as a practice.
Totally.
Because we're two frogs in a boiling pot, you know? So, yeah, just naming it.
Thank you.
Thanks, my love.
Does that feel complete for you?
It does.
And I really have to, again, reiterate that you can hear how that could be a triggering conversation. Like we are holding up a mirror to the other. And normally when we get you to self-reveal, you're going in and owning stuff about you. So this is very different. I'm asking Lindsay to tell me where he sees my gaps. And if I was not in my heart, that could be an awful conversation. But because we're both so willing, we're in the right energy, we can hold that. But do you see how it's like we could... we just named how many things, like 6 to 8 things that of course impact intimacy. We just closed so many gaps. So it lets us not take lack of intimacy personally. It's like, oh my goodness, of course there's less intimacy right now. There are things in the way.
Yeah. And it's, it feels so good to name them and to own them. It's like, if I can name them, I can tame them. If I can name them, I'm not meaning making. I'm not trying to do all this stuff. I'm not trying to go out and buy more roses or book $1,000 night away and then try and do anything over the top. Like, I can so see how, I know for myself and us men, I'll speak for men, we put so much effort into areas that are not hitting the mark, not important. It's like, I could do the grand gesture of, okay, so we're not having sex, so I'm going to go and buy
Date
a new
night.
toy, date night, $1,000 dinner, and, let's go to Bali for the
And
week.
I'm still a no.
Yeah, and that's what happens. We put all this effort into making this better experience, but it's all over the top of stuff, of the fertile ground of our values, of our agreements, of our boundaries that then lead to this part of intimacy. It's not a straight line, and it's what is in the way. If we can hold and take out what is in the way of our relationships, barriers to intimacy, then intimacy just occurs. It's just the unfolding. I'm always trying to encourage men to realize that. It's like, you don't actually have to ask for sex. It's just taking away what doesn't need to be in the way. It's decluttering the space. It's like we've got washing in the bed, or it's like everything is just stacked up all over the bed, and we're kind of like, why aren't we having sex? It's like, there's a lot of stuff that's sitting all over the bed. It's not a very inviting space. There's a lot of mess in there.
And you can operate on top of the mess on the bed. You can physically go through the motions. But like Lindsay said at the beginning, how do you feel afterwards? If I let that little girl part of me lead us into sex and Lindsay was unconscious to it and we did, he's going to leave that feeling like I didn't feel her openness. You could feel like a perpetrator.
I've actually had that experience in the past, not necessarily with you, but I just noticed for me is, I'm such an advocate for really checking in as men, how do we feel after, and deciding on that before we go, because it's the impulse to have sex is so strong in us men, our desire, that we can kind of be blindsided. That's why they always say, have a wank and think it over. It's the same thing. We don't want to be sitting in we've just had sex to realize then that it was like, oh, that was for something else. Because what happens in that moment is sex is not nourishing. And that's where it feels like we can have so much desire for it, and we keep having sex, but we're doing it in a way that it doesn't actually touch our hearts. It doesn't really have the impact that we want it to. So we're actually left overfucked and undernourished. And that, not good. Not a good place.
And it's the same as a woman, if I have sex to appease my partner, or, oh my God, we haven't had sex, I
better.
Or I'm using it to create connection, which was my pattern in the past. I'm then left with a lot of shame, body shame, and I've abandoned my pussy, I've betrayed her somehow. And doing that over and over again in relationship just completely shuts you down to the other person, to sex, to intimacy. And then you get stuck in this cycle of having to cross your boundary to try and feel connected, but then doesn't really in the same way, it doesn't satiate the need. It's like a temporary Band-Aid, and I'm left feeling starved anyway because it wasn't actually what was needed.
Yeah. So I think we've named all those things, and then it feels like to me we're closer, but it still could be left at the point of well, now what? There is a more openness.
Yeah, it's interesting because for me, having that conversation with you, I just feel like it completely lifted and lightened. I'm no longer left in the wondering or what's happening with our intimacy, trying to figure it out. I'm I have external stresses, or we have external stresses that we need to clean up first.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that I'm not coming to you from that needy little girl trying to make connection. And there's potentially an agreement around the phone stuff, which we already did last night. So it's I think you're right. You could, just in naming things, having Lindsay receive what I'm saying with so much openness, I feel like all the safety and trust and respect comes back in that second. But you might need to make some agreements to have it feel more complete.
Yeah, or maybe just something some way to connect later, or some way to start to build the physical intimacy back in. You know, for us, it could be some type of like practice leader, like the
Yeah.
Gab Yum, or some type of like just whatever the intimacy practice might be. You know, I'm thinking for the listeners too.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, us having this conversation, for me personally in this moment, it does feel like there's so much more openness to intimacy right now. I'm like, handsome man. I really feel in my heart. But you might have this conversation and be like, and I still feel stressed, and I still feel like I need to. It isn't, if you still don't have to go into intimacy if it's like, we see what work has to be done, and now we actually need to be in the process of cleaning it up.
Yeah.
Whereas for me right now, that conversation was very much, it has shifted something.
Yeah.
I feel that. How do you feel?
Yeah, I definitely feel a lot more open. And I think still, like, the tentativeness for me is still that, you know, so what now? You know, what next? That's all that was kind of like lingering for me. So it's, you know, setting up something as far as like, we've got a date night on Thursday and, you know, there's more spaciousness on that day,
Yeah.
you know, to connect in some way, you know.
I think it'll just be so dependent on the situation and the couple and what they've brought up, and did they hold it well, and did naming it shift something. But yeah, I think it's nice to have it make sure it feels complete for both.
All right. Well, that feels good.
So just know that when sex isn't happening, look at what is in the way, and it's the safety, it's the trust, it's the respect. This is Lindsay's model, the fertile ground of relationship. These three things, they seriously are the trifecta, that sex is the privilege that you get to experience once you have gotten right with this stuff. So I encourage you to have this conversation when you are grounded, when you're open to it, when you're open to receiving feedback, and it gets to be really healing. And if you need support with it, if it's like you try to have these conversations that we model and it's like, you know, the best it could possibly go, it's not going like that for you. That's why we do couples therapy and couples mediation. And you're so welcome to reach out and have the space held by a professional so you can explore these topics in a way where we can bring the safety into the container.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, and if you want to contact me, it's at Lindsay B on Instagram.
I am Charlie S. Hannah on Instagram, and we also have Embodied Union on Instagram as well.
Alrighty, we'll leave it there. Thank you, my lover.
Thank you, my love, and happy birthday.